Most of the rifles I own are purpose-built for some task. It's either a competition gun for field tactical matches or a PRS match, a dangerous game rifle for Africa or heading up to Alaska for brown bear, or some other kind of niche application. But versatility is a virtue as well. And it's kind of fun to think about what is the ultimate all-around versatile big game hunting rifle. I had a chance to give that concept a lot of thought this last fall. A buddy of mine invited me to go hunt blacktails with him in Oregon, in the Cascade Mountains up there. And if you're not familiar with that, it's temperate rainforest, thick foresty jungle, and steep terrain. So you have a lot of very dense woods that you're kind of moving through and potentially very close shots. But you spend a lot of time glassing clear cuts. This is on timber company land that's open to the public. And so you spend time in these clear cuts that have growth in it where the deer like to bed and feed and all that. And in those areas, you could be looking across a canyon at 500, 600, 700 yards. And that might be the only shot you get. So when thinking about putting together a rifle for this hunt, I had to kind of take those two extremes into account. In addition, we were going to be very, very mobile on this hunt. In fact, we were going to be on mountain bikes going down these logging roads. And so I had to think about something that was maneuverable, accurate, good, fast handling for close range work, yet had the capability of really fine precision for long range stuff. And the result is this rifle here. It's the Legendary Arms Works Hellcat. This is a collaboration between me and Mike Hudgens at Legendary Arms Works. He's the production manager there and a good friend of mine. And I reached out to him with this project and kind of this goal, and he jumped on it to help me out. Now, one of the reasons I went with Legendary Arms Works is because their main action is this M704 action. It's a action that was designed by Ed Brown and is really one of the best hunting rifle actions out there. And I say that because it, on the one hand, is extremely accurate, as you know from Ed Brown Custom Rifles, and also Mark Banzner, who is the custom rifle builder who founded Legendary Arms Works. So it's extremely accurate, yet it's very, very rugged. It's a controlled round feed system, which can be pretty desirable. It has a really nice claw here that is part of the bolt face that grabs the rim of the cartridge as you push it forward, so you get very solid and reliable feeding. It's got a nice ejector in there that's actuated by a blade that goes through the slot here. Very positive, tough action. In addition, one of the things that I find very appealing about this is that it's field serviceable. There's a little bayonet plug here that you just undo, and you can take apart the bolt body and the firing pin, and if you need to wash mud out of this or de-ice it or clean it, it is very, very easy to do that. And it goes back together super quickly, and the fact that you can service that in the field with no tools by hand, huge, huge benefit. In addition, the safety system is a sort of a wing-style 3-position safety, similar to that of the Winchester Model 70. In the safe position towards the rear, locks the bolt down, which is pretty important to have on a hunting rifle, especially one you're going to be busting through the brush through. You don't want that bolt getting knocked open on you when you don't want it. And it also cams the firing pin away from the sear. It's an extremely safe, rugged, reliable design. So anyway, that action is kind of the heart of this, but the versatility extends way, way beyond that. Ended up going with the 308 in this, and there's simply no more versatile, all-around capable big game cartridge that we have. It's accurate, feeds in short action lengths. Again, that helps with the handiness and the weight of a rifle system. And it comes in a staggering array of bullet styles and bullet weights that are very capable at all kinds of different distances. I'll get to that a little bit more in a second. But so for the barrel on this, we've got a pretty heavy number 6 contour barrel. Went with a 20-inch length. This rifle is short. It's just over, I think, 35 inches long. And that compactness, like I said, it helps with the handling characteristics of this in tight brush. But one thing when you're carrying this, you can carry it barrel down. Even going uphill, you're not going to jam that muzzle into the ground. Important consideration for hunting any kind of steep terrain and mountains. There's a little bit of fluting in this, which is more decorative than having any meaningful impact on this, but the muzzle on this is also threaded, so keeping with that desire for maximum versatility, you can keep it plain like I have it here. You could put on a muzzle brake if you want, or screw on a suppressor. And because this is so short, even with a suppressor on, it's not going to become unreasonably long. The stock design is kind of interesting. It's a synthetic stock, carbon fiber, and Mike engineered this with a slight reverse comb in here, which I really like. When you shoulder this, it comes up to the cheek, and under recoil it won't come up and kick you. It gives you a really firm cheek weld in there, and helps with just the overall handling characteristics of the rifle. Now, when I was settling on the load to use, probably since the early 2000s, I've used the AccuBomb bullet more than any other one. When that was introduced, that really kind of changed the game for me. And in the 308, both the 150 grain and the 165 grain are really, really good performers. Since the AccuBomb's been introduced, a number of other companies have really stepped up with these kind of versatile projectiles that work at different ranges. Hornady, at the upper end here with 178 grain, their ELDX is a fantastic long-range projectile. This thing is designed so that it gives you good reliability and weight retention for close shots, but will have reliable expansion and penetration at lower impact velocities when you hit an animal at longer ranges. I've used this on a number of animals over the last couple years with extremely good results. Very satisfied with it, and it's one of the bullets that I've kind of taken to and now look to along with the AccuBomb. But Federal has also jumped into that game as well with their TLR, Edge TLR bullet. Again, same idea. They wanted to have good terminal ballistics over a wide envelope of impact velocities, higher velocities for those close-in shots, and also reliable performance, terminal performance at slower velocities when you're really reaching out there. And when I was putting all of these loads here to see which one I wanted to use, I don't know what they did with this particular batch of ammunition, but at Federal, but the extreme spreads when I chronographed this were so tight. The groups were very tight as well, downrange. And so this was the load that I ended up going with for a lot of hunting this fall. And I've used it on deer and elk, and that bullet is again another one of these great performing long-range precision bullets. In terms of carrying this gun, I've moved away from having swivel studs on my stocks. They just drive me crazy. Invariably your sling gets twisted when you're out there, and they start to unscrew, and you're always fussing with them, and it just drives me nuts. So I've gone to speccing out my rifles with these QD flush-mounted cups, which add a lot of versatility. They can twist 360 degrees. You're never going to have a issue with equipment failure where you can strip out a swivel stud for a sling. I did keep one swivel stud up here for the bipod. That's an important part of this system. For that versatility, I want a gun that can handle well positionally and offhand, which this one does. But if you have a prone shot and the option for that, being able to put a bipod on there and get that extra stability is important. And kind of part and parcel with that is this tripod system with the hog saddle. This is a commitment in weight. It adds a few extra pounds to your kit. But if I'm going to be carrying a spotting scope and other optics, which I usually am when I'm hunting big open country, I want to get double duty out of that gear. And this hog saddle, which is basically a clamp that can squeeze onto the stock and give you a lot of support, can swap in and out of the tripod very simply with the Optic, so that when you're hunting, when you need to set up for a shot, You can place that on there, get the rifle into position, and get a very steady supported shot from just about any range. To balance this out, of course, it needs an optic. I ended up going with this new Mark V from Loophole. It's a 3.6 to 18 by 44 first focal plane scope. Super capable optic. It has a bold mill reticle in there that at lower power gives you a very strong aiming point. It doesn't disappear, you know, like some competition reticles can do when you dial them down to low power. But when you dial it up to a higher magnification, if you want that, there are plenty of holdover points in there for adjusting your elevation, your hold. Of course, this thing has a very capable zero stop on it, which I like, and 10.5 mils of elevation per rotation. It's a lot of elevation in there that gets you out there quickly and dialed in without fussing too much, and without any kind of special ring setup or declination put into this. You know, I've got 18 mils of elevation in there, which is more than enough for this 308 to stretch out there to kind of any reasonable distance. You know, other features on this scope that I found appealing for this application: the enclosed windage knob. You know, I've had issues in the past where these competition style scopes with exposed windage turrets, they can get bumped and moved, and you know, and that's cost me an animal in the past, and so I'm very sensitive to making sure I don't repeat that particular mistake. So having an enclosed windage cap is a huge benefit. Side parallax focus on it and illuminated reticle kind of round out the features on that scope. Again, super capable, balances really well with this rifle, kind of looks good, that's important too. And you know, just sort of everything is working in as a nice system in this rifle. Speaking of its looks, it's also got this custom paint job on it, which is kind of fun. When I was talking with Mike, you know, I wanted something that would blend in kind of in that Cascades Pacific Northwest, and I sent him some samples of camo patterns from tanks from World War II that I thought were kind of good from the European theater, and he sort of came back with this and, you know, asked me if I recognized what it was, and I really didn't. Well, Mike's a little bit of a nerd, and you know, this camo pattern is actually called Endor from Star Wars. This is the Rebel Alliance camo pattern put onto this this stock. So this isn't just a you know, rednecky tactical hunting rig, but it's also got its little freak flag flying for the nerdy Star Wars fans out there. So anyway, this is the you know, this is the Hellcat, brand new rifle that's going into production from Legendary Arms Works. You know, collaborative kind of design between me and Mike Hudgens, and you know, I think it's really cool as an all-around capable hunting rig for lots of different conditions. And you know, I think other hunters who are really looking for that kind of do-it-all, versatile rifle are gonna find it pretty appealing too.